bass mark. Man, I feel the rhythm on the bass mark. If any woman comes around, run, test me. Pump it up, pump it up. But all my stress. Temperature is rising up, 2,000 people on the dance floor. Jump it up, pump it up. Temperature is rising. But all my stress. Check it out, yo. Feel the rhythm on the bass mark. Man, I feel the rhythm on the bass mark. If any woman comes around, run, test me. Pump it up, pump it up. But all my stress. Temperature is rising up, 2,000 people on the dance floor. Jump it up, pump it up. Temperature is rising.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Andrew of Vetflix and Chills coming to you live through the power of Facebook and from the Chills Cards and Collectibles game room. I hope everybody has had a splendid Wednesday and continues to have a superb Wednesday night. So tonight, if you're new to the channel, for one, we are a review channel. We review tabletop games, trading card games, board games, things like that. For the last month of February, we reviewed Future Lore Studios' new trading card game, Legions: Realms at War. Introduced it to a bunch of friends and people in my hometown here of Clarksville, Tennessee. We all fell in love with the game, so much that we decided to go ahead and cover a whole nother month of Legions: Realms at War, especially with the release of Bountiful Harvest, which just dropped last week on March 4th. It's kind of like a mini expansion with cards and stuff. We decided to go ahead and do another month. We just had so much fun with this game. We're addicted. We can't stop playing it. So that's why we decided to do another month before we go on to April, which will be reviewing two games. It'll be Betrayal on House of the Hill and Dawn Shade. You can go join our Discord if you want to choose which game I'm going to review first. Just join our Discord in the polls channel. You'll see the poll there for which one you want to see me review first. Because first and foremost, I don't do this for me. I do this for everybody wanting to know the question, hey, are these games fun and are they worth purchasing? So that's why we do this. So it's important that you guys choose what you want me to review first so that I can do that. If you don't already know, we 100% give Legions: Realms at War, the trading card game, 2 thumbs up. If I had extra hands and extra arms, I'd give it more than 2 thumbs up. I am a huge Magic the Gathering fan. I've been playing it for a long time. I didn't think it was possible for a game to be as addicting as Magic until I got my hands on Legions: Realms at War. It's hard to find in the United States, as I've discussed in prior videos, just because it's a new game and it's based out of Canada. But it is quickly growing. I know when I first started playing it, there was only 2 stores in the entire United States that carried the game. There's now 7, and they also branched out into Europe as well. So it's slowly growing. I'm not a TCG player for the money side of it. I know some people are, and if you are, I would jump into this game now because these cards are going to be worth some money at some point. But that's not why I play TCGs and things like that. Let me turn the sound down. This seems like it's really loud. And let me go over here. I'm sorry. Looking forward to getting to it. Yeah, so we've discussed gameplay of Legion's Realms at War. We've discussed the mechanics. We did a tabletop discussion with fans and friends that I got into the game. We gave our pros and cons of it. There weren't really a whole lot of cons. I mean, there are some. It's like there's going to be with every new game. So I'm sure people are asking, okay, what else could we cover with Legion's Realms at War? Well, tonight I want to cover something that I think is very, very overshadowed when it comes to trading card games. Because we get so addicted to collectability of the cards. We get so competitive with playing with our friends or even in competitions. And we get just super, super addicted to building decks and revamping them that we kind of overlook the lore of these games. And if you don't know, if you've never been to a Legion's Realms at War website, they have fantastic lore, and you could tell that the CEO of Future Lore Studios, Taylor Howe, has put a lot of thought and a lot of hard work into this lore. And it's one thing that I've not seen a lot of people that are talking about this game talk about was the lore. We've done a lot of booster box openings and pack openings, myself included. But I think it's really important that we talk about the other side of it. And if you're wondering, I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but if you're wondering, hey, what is lore? Well, lore is how these fantasy worlds were created and all the entities inside of them. And that's what we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to be reading the Old War Saga, Chapter 1 and 2 originally, and then Taylor Howe had messaged me on my Discord and was like, hey, Future Lore Studios delivers once again. I got Chapter 3 up. So I have not read Chapter 3. I kind of browsed over it very quickly because he messaged me like maybe 15 minutes before I started this live. So I'm kind of interested to see what Chapter 3 is all about. Now, forewarning, I wear glasses when I read, but because of all the lighting, I know if I put these glasses on, it is going to bounce reflections of light off. So I'm not going to wear them. So if I stumble on some words, I swear I'm not illiterate. I can read. But we're going to just dive right into it. And we're going to start with Chapter 1, The Illustrious Dawn of the Old World Saga. And it is written, like I said, by Taylor Howe, the CEO and creator of Legion's Realms at War. So make sure you got your fireplace going. You see I got mine down there in the corner. Make sure you pour yourself a nice little beverage like I have. Mine's coffee. It's not any kind of liquor. I'm not a drinker, so make sure you throw a nice little warm blanket around you, get warm and comfy as we read over these chapters. So, as I said, Chapter 1, The Illustrious Dawn. It was from the empty void that legends speak of the illustrious dawn. From the vacancy of existence there birthed the light, a light so pure and piercing that even the far reaches of blackness were touched by it. Like a horizon among nothingness, this light bore the beginnings of what was known to be the Old World. These beginnings, although humble, quickly grew in size and power. These were the first references in our ancient text of the 9 Void Hollows. Spirals of vitality, hope, and chaos, the Void Hollows were the origins of the 9 Veils, portals of absolute power. It was from these veils that the 9 beings known to our ancient texts as elders first stepped into existence, bringing with them each a unique quality that would soon lay the foundations of the 9 realms of the Old World. The realms that would be created in their image as gift-givers of life and the nature order of all things. It would be these elders that would be, by the touch of their mortal graces, set into the motion of millennia of the ever-shifting balance upon the horizons of the illustrious dawn. And then we will go into Chapter 2, The Ancient Elders. So Chapter 1's short and sweet. So we'll go into the Ancient Elders of Chapter 2. After stepping into existence upon the planes of reality, the ancient elders were at the forefront of the beginnings of creation. The old world had been birthed upon the horizons in the void, and they, the elders, were the first beings from the void hollows. Manifested from ether and cosmic dust, they themselves could only be one thing: deities. The ancient elders were beings of purest light and deepest shadow, and all variations in between. Each one walked upon the old world with a purpose, a vision, and most importantly, the power to manipulate the respective realm, a piece of the collective whole. This was the very moment that the 9 realms truly began to take shape. It was these great beings that made the lands fertile and abundant. They began carving mountains from ethereal dust up to the west, filling oceans with spiritual lifeblood to the north, and sprouting vegetation to sprawl with fervent energy to the east, and to the south, use molten lava to generate the heat necessary to maintain life within the cosmic void. To say each of the 9 realms were made of equality, we do not know. For what we do know, from that of our ancient texts, is that all 9 realms were made in perfection from within the eyes of their creator. And what perfection they were, each unique with their own source of magic and their respective forms. And it was this magic at the center of it all when it came to laying the foundations for the old world. First it was, and still remains to be, in the center of the old world that lay the 9th realm, the keystone that holds all things together within the void. The elders that first walked upon the realms was the youngest of the 9 elders, the one our ancient text simply refers to as the 9th elder of the dawn. The 9th elder of the dawn was gifted with one thing from the illustrious dawn that was not given to his fellow counterparts, cosmic magic, that of its purest form. And legend has it, he used this astonishing gift with more restraint and hesitation than that of his siblings, as he knew it was somehow not limitless. To definitively describe his power beyond of that of the ancient elders, in all of their glory, would be considered blasphemy. For the other ancient deities have only ever been witnessed in their full forms once, and that was by their sole divine creation of intelligent life, the originals. As for the 9th elder of the dawn, it has been prophesied that he elect not to manifest an original in his image like his other cohorts, but instead proliferate magic throughout the 9 realms. The 9 elders of the dawn did this by using his realm, that we now refer to as the bounty realm, as an amplifier for his great gift of cosmic magic. However, the other 8 deities ignored their youngest sibling and collectively moved forward with their divine creation of the free-thinking, intelligent life known to us as the originals. The originals were made in an attempt allowing the possibilities of these great realms to further themselves in the nature state of being, that of evolution. And through this evolution, it has allowed for things to grow and advance to the point in which the ancestors were able to write our ancient texts, and from this, our history of the 8 legions were born. They, the originals, were to be, in all intents and purposes, the parents and caretakers of the bountiful new worlds, and thus our forefathers and mothers. They were to be observed by the elders closely, studied, analyzed, and to see if free will and forms of thought were to be the ways in which life could carry forward. Instead, however, after the creation of the intelligent beings, the ancient elders found themselves weakened for the first time since their inception. For as if the originals sapped them from what appeared to be limitless power. Some would believe this is what the young 9th elder of the dawn was privileged in foreseeing, a weakened state of power that followed the hubris of being a great deity, a cross they would have to bear while he watched on. The 8 elders of the surrounding realms grew heavy in their steps, as their worlds before them continued to teem with possibilities. Weighted by the irreversible error of their collective ways, the 8 deities were forced to witness these possibilities become distanced with each passing moment. Feeling evolution in ways they did not anticipate, and reeling from the regrets, they stumbled their ways to their youngest, and somehow wisest sibling. They pleaded with him to share the magic that he still held, to keep them from fading. For their existence now became garnished by the tickling of time as it quickly eroded beneath them. The only thing their brother could offer them now, as their respective void hollow looked to claim them back into the emptiness that once birthed them, was his refuge. A refuge upon the borders of each of their respective realms within reach of the ever-binding bounty realm that he created. Places to be hidden by cosmic magic, away from the imposing void hollows, and eventually future seekers of the historical truth. They were to be left undisturbed for the next millennia, or until they were able to regain their power. And so, with these options limited, they obliged, as their choice seemed clear to them, they would rather continue to exist than to be erased. In turn, reluctantly, earlier than they had wished to be, the 8 ancient elders could only see one solution, passing on duties they thought they could manage themselves to their solitary free-thinking creations before them. The originals were to now be tasked with the future of the old world, a great place that was a blank canvas for the essential need of to sustain a multitude of sprawling life forms, a canvas for these divine creations to paint in whichever direction they saw fit, whether that be in good intentions and malicious action. The elders could not be the witness any longer, as either outcome was to be unhindered by their deity's watchful eye. These were to be series of tall tasks they lay before the originals, tasks to be completed using the unyielding power to which was thrust upon them far too early in their lives. The ninth elder of the dawn, knowing the end of his story before any other could, only stand idly by, witnessed that his power would do to these naive originals. He knew that the rapid influx of magic to an unprepared, free-thinking mind would inevitably lead to corruption. It was at this moment that the illustrious dawn had drawn to its first conclusion. The time of the ancient elders drew to an end, for their aspirations were endless, but unfortunately their power not quite as equal. They found themselves fall into what they refer to as the ancient texts and eternal slumber. The eternal slumber fell as fast and weighted stone into the bottomless ocean. It was definitively deep, and so was the division that came from it. The axis of light and dark, or good and evil, could not help itself, but be manifested on this day. And for the first time in the early creation, there was uncertainty. Uncertainty what was to come next, as the once brilliant light of the illustrious dawn seemed to fade upon the horizon. The old world found itself enter into obscurest dusk. Wow, man, that was... I've read that one before, and that's... chapter 1's rather short. We'll go with not totally illiterate. Yeah, thanks, man. Chapter 1's kind of short, of course, but chapter 2, it kind of starts diving way more into it, as you guys can see with the deities and the elders and stuff like that. And basically, like, I'm not anybody who knows me, I'm not a religious person. But essentially, it's kind of like these deities are God. They are what created life forms and all. They took this blank canvas, just like, they say God created the world in 7 days or whatever. And essentially it's kind of saying the same thing. These deities had this blank canvas and they created their own images, just as they say God did. So it's pretty interesting lore. We can go on to chapter 3, the obscurous dusk. And like I said, I'm trying to limit my stream times. I usually do like an hour. So I'm trying to narrow them down to 30 minutes instead of hours so I don't bore people. But I'm loving the lore, and this is why I kind of wanted to go over it, because there's so much hard work put into this stuff. And knowing how these realms came to be, and the beings inside of them and stuff like that, and how they were created is amazing. And it's something I think we all should kind of, when we get into a TCG game, we should try to remember, hey, not only dive into the collectability and the gameplay of these TCGs, these trading card games, but dive into the lore, because you learn so much. Like they said on the cards, when you play the game, at the bottom there's flavor text, right? And I'm just assuming it's flavor text like any other trading card game, where it's just like, information about maybe the creature on it or whatever. But what's cool about Legion's Realms at War, that on these cards, the flavor text actually tells stories on every one, and you kind of blend the story together on these cards. It just makes it super, super cool, and something I've personally not seen on a trading card game like that before. So let's check out Chapter 3, The Obscurest Dusk. This is one that I have not read. Like I said, it was just released about 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to try my hardest. I read those last couple days in a row just to try to get my brain wrapped around them and try to make sure I didn't mess up some of these words and stuff. But this one, we might stammer through it a little bit. But let's go on with Chapter 3, The Obscurest Dusk, written by Taylor Howe. As the once seemingly endless light dipped below the mountainous landscape in the endless oceans of the old world, the land found itself shrouded in ever-expansive shadows for the first time ever. a shadow so dense that it absorbed all the remaining light. It was at this moment the old world had lost all of its luster, for the thick black surge of darkness enveloped everything, like that of the wave sweeping out from the horizon. The ground beneath the great original shook, and the howling winds and ripples of cosmic energy penetrated the surprised silence in their minds, for even the void hollows had vanished from the distant sight. It was almost like everything was over, only shortly after it began. Soon all that was left of the illustrious dawn was now just a faded memory. How quickly a miraculous event of inception, followed by the moments of astounding creation, could vanish into such bleakness like that of the obscurest dusk. The harrowing fear could not help but creep into all their minds, as they knew that even they could still be subject to the swirling powers of these scoring magic hunting hollows. It is then, however, in a single strike of friction, almost like that of a steel blade upon a flint rock, that a spark seared and then faded, then again and again in a repetitive motion, crack after crack, until the spark finally ignited into the shimmer everfrost blue hue, a small but illuminating blue fume with majestic yet spiritual properties. It had properties so pure and powerful, in fact, that it illuminated the surrounding landscape, causing the shadows to retreat rapidly like that of the fleeting foe. It was purely a miraculous sparkle of magic that created a cindering flicker so brilliant that it appeared as if it were made of burning water. Ironically, a fluid was deemed as the lifeblood of creation was set ablaze by this legendary spark in this ever-expanding darkness. This invoked an emotion response of relief and just a wispy, flowing spiritual flame. The spiritual blue flame, the first of its kind, was to be known in our ancient texts as a Yanmantis flame, a flame so powerful that it was birthed into the darkest of the night by a being with equal power. This brilliant blue glow refracted and shimmered within the grasp of a thin, delicate porcelain-like hand, the hand of the original, known only in early times of our world as a daughter of darkness. This beautiful porcelain-like Elysian being represented all the hope and fear brought on by the obscurest dusk at the very same time. The premier display of the cosmic magique from a being that is not an elder, but of one with elder blood. This was surely an unprecedented time. Good Lord, I couldn't get that word out. As the daughter of darkness battled her eyes. See, I told you I was going to stammer. Let's try that again. As the daughter of darkness batted her eyes and glared into the legendary flame of her fingertips, her iris too sparkled with the power of the Yanmantis flame. Burning deep and true, like a raging power building, she appeared to become consumed by it. As the consumption of the bonding of the flame to her soul began, the evolution was exponential. The Yanmantis flame burned so brilliantly cold and bright that it illuminated the other 7 originals that stood in awe. Moving in closer to hurtle around the celestial fire, 4 of the remaining 7 originals seemed hesitant of its true power. They could not help but feel that this legendary Yanmantis flame was in fact not salvation in the emptiness of shadows, but it was in fact beacon for it. Feeling guided by something pure and true within themselves, the 4 hesitant originals pulled away from its icy blue burn and stepped back into the darkness, while the other 3 beings of divine power drew in closer in their absence. This was the very first moment that showcased the division of the realms, the moment that the axis of good and evil were being decided. Those whom stood within the Yanmantis flame, and those who resisted its corrupting power. For each of these great creations of the ancient elders was free-thinking beings. They also showed confidence, willpower, and conscience. A firm and fateful decision to not be consumed by the power of darkness, simply by stepping back further into it, was a defining precipice of the old world. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. This decision was to have consequences. The decision of ultimately what started the realms at war. So, as we can see, the Yanmantis flame and how it kind of, what I'm getting out of it kind of, I'd have to read it a few more times. Like I said, I wish I could have read this a couple times before I did this live, but it just came out like 30 minutes ago, so I could kind of get a better understanding of it. Because this is kind of like, this is the beginning of everything. This is how the war started, obviously, because it ended with the decision was ultimately what started the realms at war. And I assume that was the consumption of this Yenmentis flame. If I'm saying that word right, I hope I am. I'm not sure. So yeah, man. Like I said, my man, I'm on the hype train too. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, so that's chapters 1, 2, and 3 of the Old World Saga from Legions Realms at War, the trading card game. Boy, I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. So I'm not sure a lot of people can make it tonight. I know a lot of people are busy. It's spring break for the kids. I know I'm off the next couple of days doing some projects around the house. So I was kind of hoping there'd be a little bit more people in here to have a discussion about this. But this is what makes the power of the internet so great, is that I have a Discord. I will post the link to Legion's Realms at War on the Discord. You can go into the lore section and you can read this yourself. I'm sure I butchered it. I'm not a narrator, as you could probably tell. I tried my hardest. I'm more of a writer myself than a narrator. I love writing personally. I've been writing for years. It's probably one of my favorite pastimes. And I love reading. I'm just not a vocal narrator. I wish I was. I wish I had a better voice for it and stuff like that. But like I said, I wish I could have read chapter 3 a little bit more so we could go more in depth with it. But like I said, this stream was just mostly just to talk about the lore and put a little bit of light on it so it wasn't so overshadowed. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the Old War Saga, Chapter 1, 2, and 3. Thanks to Future Lore Studios, delivering as they always do. Fantastic company. They've been nothing but great to me, and for absolutely no reason. I have done nothing for them except for talk about, review, and play a game that I am absolutely in love with and passionate about, and that I think is going to grow exponentially throughout the years. Like I said, we had their Ravaged Lands dropped in October there in Canada. We personally didn't get here in the United States until end of December, I believe, or beginning of January. That's when I started playing the game, was around January, and I just immediately fell in love with it. And then we already had a mini expansion, Bountiful Harvest, which came out last week. And then I'm looking very, very forward to the release of Frontiers this summer. So as you can tell with the drops of their expansions and stuff, they're not going anywhere. They're going to keep pushing out product. And they're just an amazing, amazing company. Like I said, they've done so much for me. They sent me some stuff that I was able to do giveaway with and share with other fans of the game on one of my first lives. They just sent me a very cool plaque, which you could see. Let me see. I don't know how to do this. Right there, that black plaque, which I'm getting a couple demon hands to hold it because that's my favorite Legion. But and of course the Louis Louis card from, you know, because he's one of my favorite content creators. So that was really cool. They've sent me stuff that they didn't need to, and that's just me trying to be transparent and let you guys know, yes, I've gotten some product from them, but I didn't ask for it, and they didn't ask me if I want it. They just sent it to me, thanking me for loving the game and talking about and trying to put some light on the game. And that's what it is. You guys have to remember, like, these games aren't gonna grow if we don't talk about them, if we don't highlight them, if we just sit in our living rooms and we play these games at our kitchen table with our friends, they're not going to grow. A very, very, very small percentage of people play trading card games in local card and hobby shops. I personally didn't play in card and hobby shops for a very long time. I literally started playing when this game came out because it was important for me to try to help this game grow. And you know, going to the card and hobby shop and doing some lives there in past videos, we got people seeing the game for the first time and they were intrigued by it. And when we were actually doing a live, they started playing the game behind us and bought a couple of the starter decks, which is really cool to see. And that's what I keep trying to push to people, is we can't make these games grow if we don't go out and play them at our local card and hobby shops. You can always make all the excuses in the world, I don't have time and this and that. I'm a father of 4 and a husband. my plate's full. I've got soccer games coming up, kid going off to the military, kids going to college, things like that. And then I've got my husband duties, and then my household duties, and then everything like that. I'm busy too, but I work full time. I don't get paid to do these videos. I do them because I love doing them. And I even have social anxiety. I hate going out places, in public places, because my PTSD just triggers. I have a hard time being around big groups. And that's just, that's war trauma that happens when you go to war. I served 11 years in the Army, so. But I still go because I'm passionate. And if you're passionate about a game, then you'll do whatever you have to do to try to push it, to try to get people into it, to play it. Because the last thing I want to see is a game fail. Any game. I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't want to fail at streaming and putting out content for people. I might, but as long as I keep trying, that's all that matters. So make sure you guys are going out, and if you pick up these games, make sure you're playing them at the local card and hobby shops. Help get some light on them. Help people get intrigued and interested in them. It's the only way to make them grow. So with that, I'll end the stream. I hope everybody enjoyed the Old War Sagas, Chapter 1, 2, and 3. I will be back next Wednesday, and we'll be doing another lore. I don't know which one I'm going to choose. Of course, I'll post it in the Discord. I'll post it in on my Facebook as well, of which one we're going to read and talk over and stuff like that. My dog's barking in the background. Sorry about that. And yeah, so I'll post it in Discord, Facebook, and we'll decide what. There's so much lore to cover that's why I'm able to keep continuing to review this game. And that's the thing I wanted everybody to know. This is first and foremost my go-to game. I will be talking about Legion's Realms at War every single month, whether it be doing some gameplay at the local card hobby shop with our friends Kyle, my son Sammy, and the other group, and the other 9 or 10 people in our group. I'll keep showing gameplay videos. We'll keep covering lore every single month. But I'm going to also focus on other games too, which is why I got 2 other games coming up next month. But with that said, have a great night, everybody. And remember that when life gets you down, roll for initiative and keep playing, my friends. Thanks for showing up, and have a fantastic night.
Illustrious. Illustrious.